Would you reheat food if it could slowly harm your health? What if something as simple as microwaving lunch could silently increase your risk of cancer or memory loss? And what if the foods you believe are healthy are actually the most dangerous when reheated? Have you ever pulled leftovers out of the fridge and popped them into the microwave without a second thought? It's something we all do. But few people realize that certain foods, when reheated, can quietly harm your body, raising the risk of cancer, damaging brain function, and leading to serious long-term consequences. In this video, we're uncovering 5 everyday foods that doctors and nutritionists strongly warn against reheating. When these foods are exposed to heat a second time, they can undergo chemical changes that make them toxic when reheated. Many of these foods might surprise you. Some are widely considered healthy and even recommended in balanced diets. But science doesn't lie. When these specific items are reheated, harmful compounds can form. Research has linked these compounds to a variety of health concerns, from digestive issues to cancer, and even neurodegenerative conditions such as dementia. If you've ever used the microwave to warm up last night's dinner or save time at lunch, what you'll learn in this video might be more important than you think. The goal isn't to scare you, it's to help you make safer, smarter food choices. Avoiding just a few toxic when reheated habits in the kitchen could significantly improve your well-being, both now and in the long run. Make sure to stay with us until the very end. You'll discover not only which 5 foods you should never reheat, but also the science behind why they're so dangerous. This isn't based on rumor. This is grounded in real medical research. Once you understand the risks, you'll be better prepared to protect your own health and the health of those you care about. Now, let's dive in. Number 1. Reheating spinach can release harmful nitrates. Spinach is one of the most common vegetables people warm up without a second thought. Spinach is praised for being nutrient-rich, quick to prepare, and versatile. It shows up in everything from omelets and salads to soups and casseroles. But here's where things take an unexpected turn. When spinach is reheated, especially in the microwave or at high temperatures, it can quietly transform into something potentially harmful. You see, spinach naturally contains a high level of nitrates. On their own, nitrates are not only safe, but actually beneficial. They help promote healthy blood circulation and can even lower blood pressure, making them a friend to your heart. But when cooked spinach is stored and then reheated, especially after sitting for a day or two, those harmless nitrates can start to break down into nitrites, and from there, things get riskier. Those nitrites can convert into nitrosamines, a group of compounds that scientific studies have repeatedly linked to an increased risk of cancer. It's a subtle chemical reaction, one you can't see, smell, or taste, but it can quietly take place in your bowl without you realizing it. For older adults in particular, this matters even more. As we age, our bodies naturally become more vulnerable to toxins. What might have gone unnoticed in our 30s or 40s can now have a much more pronounced effect, especially on cells tied to brain function and tissue repair. And the danger isn't just hypothetical. Nitrosamines are classified as known carcinogens. They've been connected to gastrointestinal cancers and, in some lab studies, even to neurological damage. Just think about this common scenario. You make a hearty pot of vegetable soup on a Sunday evening, filled with fresh ingredients and a generous handful of spinach. On Monday, you reheat a portion for lunch, thinking you're making a healthy choice. But while that spinach was packed with heart-friendly nitrates the night before, the reheating process may have altered those compounds into something your body was never designed to handle. When this reheating habit is repeated over months or even years, the effects don't usually make themselves known immediately. But that doesn't mean they're harmless. Slowly and quietly, these compounds can accumulate in your system, influencing your body in ways you may not detect until much later. The goal isn't to scare you, it's to empower you with knowledge. Because once you understand how something as simple as reheating certain foods can affect your long-term health, you begin to take more control over your well-being. So if spinach is part of your regular meals, the safest approach is to enjoy it fresh or eat it cold from the fridge. Avoid reheating it, especially more than once. It might seem like a small adjustment, But over time, small changes like this can make a big difference. Your body, your brain, and even your future self will be grateful for the conscious choice you make today. These hidden risks often go unnoticed, not because they're unimportant, but because their effects aren't immediate. Yet as we grow older, we come to understand something crucial. It's not just what we eat, but how we prepare and handle our food that shapes our health. Reheating spinach might sound harmless, but done repeatedly over time, it can quietly work against you in ways that catch up when you least expect it. Now let's talk about another everyday food that's almost always on the menu: potatoes. They're a staple in so many homes, and for good reason. Whether mashed, roasted, baked, or stewed, potatoes offer comfort and satisfaction. But most people have no idea that reheating them can come with its own set of problems. When you first cook potatoes, the starch inside them becomes soft and easily digestible. But once they cool down, those same starches begin to restructure into what's known as resistant starch. And while resistant starch can have health benefits in its raw or natural form, what happens when it's reheated is where things begin to shift. Resistant starch can be beneficial for digestion and blood sugar control, but the trouble begins when those cooled potatoes are reheated, especially that using high heat or a microwave. During the reheating process, particularly when it's done unevenly, certain types of bacteria such as Clostridium botulinum can flourish. These bacteria thrive in the low-oxygen, starchy environment of stored potatoes, especially if they were wrapped in foil and left to cool at room temperature for too long. That kind of setup creates ideal conditions for bacterial growth. What makes this even more alarming is that you won't always see or smell anything unusual. Just because the food looks fine doesn't mean it's safe. Once consumed, these bacteria can lead to serious digestive distress, and in extreme cases, may even expose the body to neurotoxins that interfere with your nervous system. And it doesn't stop there. As you get older, your digestive system becomes less resilient. Your immune system doesn't respond as quickly or as effectively as it once did. Harmful bacteria that might not have affected you in your youth can now trigger stronger reactions. What's more, your brain, which is already highly sensitive to inflammation, can suffer when your gut health is compromised. More and more medical research is confirming a strong connection between gut health and cognitive function. In fact, chronic inflammation in the gut has been linked to a higher risk of developing neurological conditions like Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. So, while potatoes themselves aren't the enemy, the way you handle them makes all the difference. That doesn't mean you have to give up potatoes, not at all. But it does mean taking some simple precautions. Whenever possible, eat them freshly cooked. If you do need to save leftovers, store them in airtight containers, never in aluminum foil, and make sure to reheat them thoroughly and evenly. Using the stovetop instead of the microwave gives you more control over the temperature and helps prevent uneven heating. A small shift in your routine could spare you from bigger health issues down the line. Reheating potatoes more than once increases the risk even further. And when you're unsure whether they're still safe, it's always better to throw them out than to gamble with your health. Your well-being is far too important to leave to chance, especially with foods we often assume are harmless. Potatoes in their freshly cooked form are perfectly fine, but the moment they've been sitting out, stored, and reheated the wrong way, they can become problematic. The way we manage leftovers matters more than we often realize. And for older adults who are already focused on protecting their memory, maintaining energy, and staying healthy as they age, these small habits can make a big difference. Could something as simple as reheating dinner really impact your brain or digestion over time? Surprisingly, yes. If you're still watching and finding this information useful, comment number 2 below so I know you're following along. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to hit that button and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any future videos designed to help you live smarter, healthier, and longer. Your support makes it possible for us to keep producing helpful content, and we truly appreciate it. Now, let's move on. The third food on our list is one that almost everyone keeps in the kitchen: eggs. Scrambled, hard-boiled, sunny side up, Eggs are versatile, inexpensive, and loaded with high-quality protein. They're a staple in American households for good reason. But if you've ever saved leftover eggs for the next day and reheated them, especially in the microwave or using high heat, it might be time to pause and rethink that habit. Why? Because when eggs are first cooked, their proteins go through a process called denaturation. This is completely normal. It just means the proteins are unfolding and reshaping into forms your body can digest easily. But once those proteins have already been cooked and are then reheated again, when cooked proteins like those in eggs are exposed to heat a second time, especially if that heat is intense or uneven, their structure changes again. But unlike the first time they were cooked, the second transformation isn't so friendly to your body. Reheating eggs can trigger the breakdown of sulfur compounds and lead to the formation of oxidized cholesterol, both of which have been linked in various medical studies to increased levels of inflammation. And over time, this inflammation can contribute to a higher risk of cardiovascular problems. Now, think about what that really means. Inflammation isn't just a temporary issue, it's a well-known driver of deeper health concerns, including cognitive decline, memory issues, and even dementia. So suddenly, the seemingly innocent habit of reheating yesterday's eggs starts to take on a new light, doesn't it? Let's take a common example. Maybe you boil a few eggs on Sunday so you'll have quick, easy breakfasts ready for the week. On Tuesday morning, you grab one and toss it into the microwave for 30 seconds just to warm it up. Seems harmless, right? But inside that egg, subtle chemical changes are taking place. The proteins toughen, the cholesterol oxidizes, and the texture might shift, becoming rubbery or giving off a faint sulfur smell. The changes in texture or flavor might alert your senses, but the real issue lies deeper, at the microscopic level. These are transformations you can't see, smell, or taste. And as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to these changes. Our ability to process fats efficiently can decline. Arteries may stiffen. The brain becomes more vulnerable to inflammation that builds slowly over time. That's why these small, daily food habits matter more than they once did. Reheating eggs might seem like a tiny decision, but repeated over the years, it can quietly chip away at your health in ways that don't become obvious until much later. It's not about creating fear, it's about creating awareness. And the earlier you understand how these patterns affect your body, the easier it is to make healthier, preventive choices that protect your future. So, does this mean you have to give up eggs altogether? Absolutely not. Eggs remain one of the most nutrient-dense, brain-supporting foods you can include in your diet, when they're fresh. The key lies in how, and when you eat them. The safest approach is to enjoy eggs shortly after they've been cooked, while their structure and nutritional integrity are still intact. If you're someone who likes to prepare meals in advance, consider eating cooked eggs cold or mixing them into a salad straight from the fridge instead of warming them up again. And if those eggs have been sitting for a few days or you're unsure how they were stored, it's always better to be cautious. Your health is worth far more than the convenience of a reheated snack. These little choices, what we reheat, how we store our food, and even when we decide to eat something cold rather than hot, can build up over time. What seems insignificant in the moment can have a lasting impact, especially with foods like eggs where the risks aren't immediately visible, but the long-term effects can quietly take hold. You deserve to feel your best, to stay sharp, energized, and comfortable throughout your day. And sometimes, that all starts with something as simple as the way you treat your breakfast. Now let's talk about another favorite on the dinner table: chicken. It's often considered a go-to for healthy eating, lean, high in protein, and low in fat. Many of us cook chicken in large batches to save time, keeping leftovers for lunch or dinner the next day. But here's something most people don't realize. When you reheat chicken, particularly in the microwave or using very high heat, the way your body digests it can start to change. And while that change might seem small, repeated over time, it could quietly contribute to low-grade inflammation, digestive discomfort, and even more serious health concerns. When you cook chicken the first time, Its proteins denature, meaning they unfold in a way that allows your digestive system to break them down efficiently. But when those same proteins are exposed to high or uneven heat during reheating, when chicken is reheated, especially at high or uneven temperatures, the proteins inside it go through a second transformation. This time, they become tougher, more rigid, and significantly harder for your body to digest efficiently. And as we grow older, our digestive systems naturally begin to slow down. This means that foods we once processed without any trouble can start to create discomfort, causing bloating, sluggishness, or even subtle digestive upset that we might not immediately connect to the food itself. But digestion isn't the only concern here. There's another deeper issue at play: inflammation. Medical studies have revealed that when these reheated chicken proteins are broken down in the body, they can produce specific compounds that trigger low-grade chronic inflammation. And here's where things get even more serious. Inflammation isn't just about joint pain or an upset stomach. It's now widely recognized as a key contributor to a range of long-term health problems, including heart disease, high blood pressure, cognitive decline, and even neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. So, while chicken itself is a healthy, lean source of protein, the way it's stored and reheated can have a much bigger impact on your health than you might expect. Imagine this common routine. You roast a few chicken breasts on Sunday, store the extras in the fridge, and then on Tuesday, you reheat one in the microwave for a quick lunch. It feels like a smart, time-saving choice. But beneath the surface, something has changed. The texture is different. Maybe it's rubbery. Maybe the flavor isn't quite the same. That shift in texture is a visible clue that chemical changes have occurred. And while you can taste the difference, what you can't see is the added stress your body experiences as it tries to process these changes. Over time, this puts pressure not just on your digestive system, but also on your immune system and even your nervous system. That's why this matters so much, especially for older adults who are already working to manage inflammation, maintain stable blood pressure, or cope with occasional brain fog. When your body is already under strain, even small repeated dietary stresses, like poorly reheated protein, can quietly contribute to bigger health challenges down the line. When your body is dealing with low-level inflammation, everything just feels a bit more difficult. Your energy starts to fade, your memory doesn't seem as sharp, and even your mood can feel a little off-kilter. Avoiding something as seemingly minor as reheated chicken won't solve every problem, but it is one small, manageable way to ease the load on your body, and those small changes can add up in meaningful ways. Here's the bottom line. The way we prepare and handle our food truly matters. It might not seem like a big deal to skip reheating something like chicken, but that single decision can quietly reduce unnecessary stress on your system. Over time, that stress accumulates. It doesn't always show up immediately, but it slowly chips away at your health, day by day, bite by bite. When we're younger, our bodies are more forgiving. We bounce back easily, and many of these minor habits don't seem to affect us at all. But as we age, being just a bit more intentional can make a noticeable difference. Your body has carried you through so much already. It deserves to be treated with extra care and attention. If you're still with us and finding value in this video, leave a comment with number 4 below so I know you're engaged in learning. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to hit that button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue to create helpful content that empowers and informs your health journey. Now let's move forward to our final item. Number 5. Mushrooms may lose their nutritional balance when reheated. These fungi are often praised for their deep, earthy flavor, satisfying texture, and impressive health benefits. They're loaded with antioxidants, dietary fiber, and compounds that support immune function. Whether they're sautéed into an omelet, simmered into a hearty soup, or served up as a savory side dish, mushrooms have earned their spot on many dinner tables. But what most people don't know is that mushrooms are among the most sensitive foods when it comes to reheating. And that sensitivity goes far beyond just a change in flavor or texture. What happens inside your body after eating reheated mushrooms may be far more significant than you'd think. These fungi are unique. Unlike many other vegetables, they're made up of complex proteins and enzymes that begin to break down quickly after cooking. When you reheat mushrooms, especially if you do it more than once, their delicate protein structures can deteriorate. This breakdown doesn't just affect taste, it can create compounds that your digestive system struggles to process. As a result, you might experience bloating, discomfort, or that unmistakable heavy, sluggish feeling that lingers after a meal. And for older adults, whose metabolism and enzyme levels have naturally changed with age, these symptoms can become even more noticeable and persistent. But the issue doesn't stop at digestion. When mushrooms are stored improperly or reheated using uneven methods, like a microwave, another process begins to take place. Their proteins and fats can oxidize, forming substances that may increase oxidative stress in the body. And if you've ever read about oxidative stress, you know it's no small matter. It's a key contributor to cellular damage, chronic inflammation, and many of the age-related challenges we try to avoid, such as memory problems and cognitive decline. Let's break it down with a common scenario. You make a rich, flavorful mushroom stew for dinner. It's warm, savory, and incredibly satisfying. The next day, you heat up a bowl in the microwave for lunch, but this time, something's off. The texture feels rubbery. The taste is dull and muted. What you're experiencing isn't just a leftover meal, it's the chemical result of reheating. The proteins have broken down. Nutrients that were once nourishing are now diminished or altered in ways your body may not welcome. When mushrooms are reheated, their structure changes, and your body has to work harder to process what's left. Even the texture offers visible clues. Freshly cooked mushrooms are tender, juicy, and bursting with rich, earthy flavor. But once reheated, they often become rubbery, watery, or even slimy, none of which indicate quality. These physical changes are your first hint that the original nutritional integrity of the food has been compromised. And with that loss comes a decrease in the health benefits you were hoping to get. There's also a bigger picture worth noticing. Many older adults who experience gas, bloating, or irregular digestion don't always think to trace those symptoms back to something as routine as a reheated meal. But digestion begins not just with what you eat, it starts with how that food is handled after it's been cooked. When your system is constantly trying to break down altered or degraded proteins, even in small amounts, the long-term effects can begin to build. Fatigue creeps in, inflammation becomes more common, and your body's ability to fight off illness may gradually weaken. This isn't about one bad meal. It's about the steady wear and tear from repeated exposure to foods that no longer serve your body well. That's why mushrooms, as healthy and nourishing as they are when fresh, require a bit of extra care. If you cook them, try your best to eat them the same day while their nutrients are still intact. If leftovers are necessary, store them in the refrigerator using an airtight glass container. When it's time to reheat, avoid the microwave entirely. Instead, warm them slowly and evenly on the stovetop. Or better yet, consider enjoying them cold if your recipe allows. A chilled mushroom salad with a drizzle of olive oil, a touch of lemon, and fresh herbs can be just as satisfying and far gentler on your digestive system. Ultimately, it's the small daily choices that make the biggest impact over time. Skipping the microwave for mushrooms might seem like a minor tweak, but for your aging body, it's one less source of stress to carry. And as you begin to recognize these subtle but significant sources of strain, you'll start to feel the difference where it counts most, in your energy, clarity, and resilience. By making these small adjustments in your daily routine, you give your body the chance to feel lighter, clearer, and more energized. It's often these quiet, thoughtful shifts, the ones we barely notice at first, that create the biggest impact over time. As we bring this video to a close, I invite you to take a moment and reflect on the 5 foods we've explored today. Which one surprised you the most? Was it spinach, eggs, or maybe something you've been reheating out of habit without thinking twice? More importantly, how might this new awareness change the way you handle your leftovers in the days ahead? This isn't about fearing your food. It's about being empowered. It's about having simple, practical knowledge that helps you make better decisions, ones that support your health in a meaningful and lasting way. Because here's the truth, your body has been showing up for you every single day, year after year. It's carried you through so much. Doesn't it deserve the same level of care, attention, and respect? And often, the biggest improvements don't come from massive lifestyle changes. They come from small, intentional actions, like choosing not to reheat that bowl of spinach or checking if those potatoes have been in the fridge a bit too long. These are the choices that add up. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned in this video and how you plan to apply it in your daily life. Your thoughts truly matter to us, and we read every comment with appreciation. Your feedback not only encourages us, but also helps us continue creating content that informs, inspires, and supports your journey toward better health. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace always, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more helpful videos just like this one.